Hey, HR friends, welcome back. We're in the 5-3 emotional 6.5 day sequence. We're going to talk about day three. Day three is right here in this white rectangle. Now, if this is your first forecast with us, we highly recommend back out right below this video, come down here and check out the overview for the 5-3. This lays out how we go through these graphs, how to interpret, and mostly how to keep up with us. All right, so day three is definitely going to be challenging, no doubt about it. We talked about this in day one, emotional polarity flip. That's this roller right here. Day two, mental polarity flip. That's this roller right here. It's going to switch directions on us, and it's going to take some time for us to get used to this new mental frequency. And that turnaround is happening in day three, so don't let this agitate you, okay? When you're having these flips happen, it just makes it harder to stay calm and to work through your feelings and to get things organized in a way that's not going to cause you more stress. Remember, we're trying to help you understand when your defensive design is going to be agitated. And this is going to hold that pattern up, and then you're going to have these smaller polarity moments that are stacking up on top of it. Now, when we look at the combined, you can see that we reach level four in the beginning of the sequence, midway through the sequence, and at the end of the sequence. So again, that's why we're saying day three is going to definitely be challenging. And when we're coming off of emotional, mental, then we're going to get a day off and we're coming back to an emotional again. So the 5-3 is definitely a little choppy here, even though it's at the moderate level. It could be much worse than this. We're happy it's not. It's still, you got to pay attention. All right. So this is going to be the testing structure. So the frequencies that make our existence possible, they're connected to our choices, which are connected to the quadrants of our body. And if your choices are out of balance, well, then the quadrants of your body, they take damage. And what you have to balance with is all your teammates. So you got to commit to your team, but all the interconnected families of the world. That's the world team here. And all the families that make it up, we should be working together. Now, that's what you would do. You'd want to get along with everyone. You wouldn't want your defensive design to convince you certain people you don't have to get along with. That's not true. You should get along with everyone. If you don't, penalty for that. Now, once you commit to your team and getting along with all of them, well, there's something you're going to want to do for the team you're committed to, and that's leave a better future state for every future team. So that's what your routine has to showcase. That's what it has to reflect. Your choice is what you spend your time and energy on. Are they making your future better? And is that affecting the future of everyone else in a negative or a positive way? You see, we want to be able to scale our choices up. And we want us to be able to make choices together that's going to help all of us. That's what we need to do here to be in balance with these governing frequencies. Now, this is the testing structure specifically, what we're going to be tested on, these first person relationships and these third person relationships and how they're connected to the quadrants. Now, in day two, we had some pretty heavy testing going on in the upper left quadrant. That's going to drop off in day three. In day three, we're going to have a little bit less going on actually in the right upper quadrant. Left lower quadrant is going to kick up considerably. We're going to be well above that four range here. So this is something to watch in day three. And this is about the same as what it was in day two. Day three is very similar as far as what the testing structure is here. Now, we've already told you what you have to do to be in balance with these frequencies. And when you're in balance with these frequencies, it's going to slow aging to a crawl, and it can even help you reverse and heal your body. So you can reverse stages of disease and get healthier. You can actually get out of this negative feedback loop, and that's just by completing this objective. That's what this is all about, this next section. It's just two patterns that come together, and these plutonic solids are perfectly symmetric, which means they create the frequencies that are perfectly balanced. If you want to pass the objective, you just have to balance your choice just like these shapes are perfectly balanced. That's how simple that is. And these shapes create eight perspectives. There's eight perspectives from the first person perspective and eight perspectives from the third person perspective. And then this chart just shows how it's just a different combination of all those things you have to learn. And when you learn all the different perspectives from both the first and third person perspective, you'll be perfectly balanced. Your body will be as healthy as it can be, and you pass this objective and you get to move on to a positive existence, one where good things happen to you while you learn instead of bad things happen to you while you learn. Okay. Now, to use this chart, we go over this every time. These are the mental frequencies that you see here in the magenta. Purple is the emotional frequency, and the blue is the physical frequency. That's why there's an M, an E, and a P over here. That's telling you what they match up with. Now, the mental frequencies are the largest. This one goes on for a year, and this one goes on for 7.5 days. Now, whatever one we're talking about, what you have to do is you have to ask yourself this question. It's always about, what does the future look like if you keep making these choices? And what choices do I have to change to ensure that, for example, our future world is fair and balanced for everybody and our climate is stable, and no matter where you're born, it doesn't matter. Everybody gets along and they help each other. Same thing here. What do I have to do to ensure that every future mother, every mature female that exists is going to feel necessary and part of something that they're equally important in? How do I do that? That's what these charts are about. Now, if you're not doing that stuff, then how you read these charts and how you come over here, it's pretty simple. Okay. So it's telling you this is first person. So that has to do with this side. And this is third person. That has to do with this bottom side. And there's even little bitty titles here. Third person here, first person here. So for the world one, we would look at this and we'd say, well, this is the mental frequency. Now there are two mentals. So there's a capital M and a small m. This is the capital M. This is a small m. So the capital M is right here. If you're having trouble with this one, this is where it's going to hurt to the body. We're just connecting the dots here for you so you can figure out how to do this on your own. You should be able to scroll down here, just look at this quickly and understand. Now, this goes on for a year, so it's important to know that. This would cause stuff to happen in the left lower quadrant and it'd nag you all year long. You wouldn't know why one year, why was it so tough in 2024 for my left hip? This is why. And if you want to know what the third person one is, well, then you'd come down here where the 8-4 is telling you. And this is, well, what's the future look like for mothers? Okay. From your choices you're currently making. And if it doesn't look good for them, then you're going to feel that in your right lower quadrant. Again, this is a year frequency. Now, the 7.5 day frequency is about to change. This is the mental micro. Okay. And this is going to change, but you can see it's only going to change in the third person. First person is going to stay right in family, and that's not going to move. So this M here and M2, that's what it's showing you. This is where it was sitting in the beginning in the first 12 hours, and this is where it'll be in the second 12 hours. But in truth, it's not moving. Now, the perspective is changing. Now you got to look at things through a little bit bigger perspective in the third person. But other than that, it's going to stay and affect the same quadrant. Okay. Now, what is going to change is where it's going to be on the time side. So the third person side. Now it's going to be testing individual, and that's going to be moving down into the left lower quadrant. So M starts in the upper left quadrant, but halfway through the sequence, that M frequency is going to move down here into the left lower. Now, if your left lower quadrant starts to irritate you, and you notice it starting in this day and the day after it, and then it lasts for about 7.5 days, this transition right here, that's what's linked to that. And that's why you haven't been feeling so good. That's how you use these charts. Now, this is going to be the emotional frequency where the 5-3. So what are future choices? So your choices, what's the future look like for individuals? What's the future look like for fathers? So this is easy, right? This is the purple one. This goes to E. This is first person. So if you're not doing so well here, you're going to feel this in your upper right quadrant. Okay. And then if you're not doing so well with the third person, you're going to feel that in your upper left quadrant. Now we've got the P1. So there's two P frequencies in 24 hours, each 12 hours long. The first P frequency, what's the future look like for families because of your choices? What's the future look like for families because of your choices? Doubled up, right? And we see it here. We've got P1 and we've got P1. So on the space side here, on the first person side, it's going to affect the left lower quadrant. However, on the third person side, that's going to affect the upper left quadrant. This is going to tighten up the left side of the body. So in the first 12 hours, if the left side of the body gets tender or sore or tighter, you just notice it in general, then you know that you're out of balance with this one. The second P frequency, okay? This is looking at how's the world going to look because of your choices in the future, and what are the individuals of the future going to have because of your current choices. That's what that is. Now, if you're out of balance with this one, you're going to be feeling that in your left lower quadrant. That's P2 right here. Now, on this side, the P2 is in the right lower quadrant. So if you're out of balance with that individual perspective, you see how they just keep going to test you again and again and again. It's just different combinations. That's all this is. So once you master these 8 perspectives and you just realize you have to think about it from your perspective, but also scaling it up, it becomes very easy to understand what you would have to do to be in balance and complete this. Now, because there's a physical component here, just knowing it and understanding it, and you going, well, I should do that, but I just don't want to, or I can't. That's not how this works. You have to. When you do the work, that's when you actually complete the objective. You can't just understand the objective because the objective asks us to actually balance. So to do this, we have to, at the very least, try to balance. All right, so that's it for the objective portion of this. Now, good news here is we've got some alignments, but this isn't a super strong day in alignments. So that is kind of good news. These are just amplified moments. We're being tested 24/7, but sometimes the tests, they overlap. And they overlap and they test the exact same area and they amplify each other for a certain period of time. And this is showing you how long that certain period of time is. So on our live feed, if you go to our homepage, you can pull that up and it shows where the time bar is during the course of the day, and you can see if it's going through these alignments. Now, the letters over here are what are the letters over here. So it's telling you how long one the alignment is going to be. So for example, this is a EE, and we're looking at it on this blue side right here. So the EE with the blue. Here it is, EE with the blue. It's an hour and a half long. It's going to test the upper quadrants of the body. Now, the space side, this has to do with relationships. How are we getting along with our teammates? Now, the purple side, that's routines. How are we balancing our routines? So over here, you can see we're going to have three strong tests, and they're going to test both how we get along with the older teammates on our team and younger teammates. Now, whether they're old, young, male, or female, you got to be able to communicate, coordinate, talk through, work through stress, and most importantly, you have to synchronize your routines and make sure you're working together as a team to leave this place better for everybody else. You do that, these alignments are going to bring you joy. They're not going to bring you sorrow. That's how that works. And this guy right here, it's a real short one. It's this EE right here. It's just a half an hour long. This is going to test upper quadrants. Again, it's better for the explanation to understand what this is. These are the upper parts of your routine, so the larger parts, the national and the world. And there are a lot of people that are unbalanced with this. Don't believe me? Look around. Our communities and our nations are kind of having some problems here, as well as our climate. It's pretty obvious. So these areas are out of balance because we've been over investing in our individual and family routines. Okay. Got to balance everywhere. And during these times, this is when you're going to notice things in those upper quadrants, like your eyes mess up or you get a headache or something like that. Again, not a great day for confirmation for alignments, but there are some here, and you have this chart and you know how to use it now. Okay. So that's it with this. Down here is just more preventative stuff. So we've got the rest of this week. We're talking about day 3, but you can come down here and we can push on this and you can see what's coming for day 4. And then in 5 seconds, this is going to cycle out and it's going to show you what's coming in day 5. So you can look ahead and know. Now you can see that these larger frequencies, they're not really moving. Most days it's just these P frequencies that are moving around, and that's changing the test load on the body. So that's helping you understand why every day feels a little bit different. You can also come down here if you find out that alignments that you're sensitive to them and you're really noticing that alignments are causing your problems. We put all the graphs of the week down here too, so you have that as well. And then finally, we've got the rest of the electromagnetics for 2024. We don't want there to be any mystery. We want you to know when this pattern is going to elevate like it is here, for example, so that you can be prepared, you don't overreact, and you don't make things worse than they already are for yourself and the people right now that you're dealing with. We want to slow the aging process. We want to help you reverse and stabilize any states of disease you have. And most importantly, we want to help you pass this objective. We want to work together to make it as easy as possible so as many as possible can get out of this negative feedback loop and enjoy something a whole lot better than what we're currently doing. All right, we'll see you in the next 24 hours. Talk to you then.